What's up everyone, welcome back to the shop. You know, it seems like over the last couple years, wooden cars have kind of increased in popularity. And I just so happen to have here one of my very first, if not my very first, baby toy, which was a wooden car. It's kind of cool that I still have that. It had me thinking, what if we build a car for today's project? And I think we can make it kind of fancy. It doesn't mean we have to carve ornate details into it and have articulating arms and flying missiles. It needs to be something that a kid can still play with, have fun with. We could church it up a bit. So I'm thinking, as part of my inspiration for my car, I'm gonna use the Shelby GT500. I think the materials for this project are gonna be really important. Not from a construction standpoint. You could build this out of a 2x4 and it'd be awesome. No, from an aesthetic standpoint, to make it look pretty, I wanted to use some fancy wood. So I've got walnut and I have white oak. I figure I'll do walnut on the center part of it, where the hood is, the top of the car, down to the trunk. On the outside, I'll use the white oak. It'll just be a good contrast. Now, I have here a big old slab of walnut. We don't need all of this, but if I tip it over on its side, what I see is this beautiful rift-sawn grain. It's like ribbons that flow down it. And I'm thinking that would be awesome looking to see those ribbons flow over the top of the car and then down onto the hood. Same thing with the white oak. I have a lot of white oak. We could choose all kinds of grain, but I'm specifically gonna choose the grain, the rift-sawn grain, and see those stripes, because I want to have that grain wrapping all the way across the side. So I need to take all of this stuff and do some milling.
I've got a ton of gravel in my shoes, world on my shoulder, a heart full of blues out in the dirt, down in the dirt. I've been a real bad boy on the town all night, starting to calm down with the morning light. I'm in the dirt, down in the dirt.
I got my material milled up, and I think I'm gonna start with the center part of the car. So I've got a wood blank here that's about 3 inches wide or so, and I went ahead and printed off a template for the profile that I need to cut out, and I'm gonna use the bandsaw to do that. So I've got my razor blade, I'm gonna trim this to size and then use some spray glue and stick it onto my wood blank. While I'm doing this, I wanna give a big shout out to our Patreon members, especially Dan Murphy. If you wanna join our superhero community, head on over to patreon.com/NewtonMakes, and you can get all kinds of good stuff, some behind the scenes, sneak peeks, a few extra videos. So definitely wanna check it out. It's a really fun community over there. I'm just gonna cut off as much extra as I can so that I can get a better feel for where I want to stick this on the wood blank, because I want to get it in the right spot. I think about right there looks good. I like the grain up towards the top more than I like it down here. I'm going to put some packing tape on it. That's just going to help us with our template. Now we can go to the bandsaw. Not too shabby. Need to do a little bit of cleanup work, but it looks pretty good. So now I'm gonna work on the next part, which is the frame that connects on the outside of that. So I printed off a template for my frame, and I have 2 pieces of oak here, and I wanna make sure that both sides are exactly the same. So to do that, I'm gonna cut them out at the same time. I'm gonna take some double-sided tape, stick my pieces together, put my template on there, and because this is so thin, I'll just go over to the scroll saw and cut it out.
I've been running so long that my feet don't work no more. Oh yeah. I've been running so long that my feet don't work no more. Oh no. It ain't easy, darling, when the devil's on my trail.
I cut out the frame of my car and I still have the center part too. So when I put these together, we can start to build that 3D car effect. So this is what's gonna make it look more like a car and not just a block of wood. And now I'm gonna put another layer on the outside of that too That's gonna be more like the trim pieces. So what I did was printed off another template, stuck it onto a board, and these are 2 boards stuck together. They are about 1/4 inch thick. So I'm gonna take these to the scroll saw, cut this out so that I know that both the left and the right piece are exactly the same. Now the plan is, after I get those cut out, I will take the frame part, stick them onto this other part that I'm doing, then go over to the spindle sander, and then sand out the wheel wells so I know that they're exactly the same. I have the pieces for my car. I've got the center piece, the frame, and then the outside trim piece. Now before I glue these together, I think it's gonna be easier to go ahead and drill the holes for the axle. So I'm gonna go over to the drill press, drill those, and then as far as our axle goes, it's just gonna be this dowel here.
Then it's trips up to Montego Bay. If I take the job, bet I get it done. I said it before, I'm a 101. I just caught some ones, only wearing ones. Fornicate the funds, money made me calm.
After I drilled the holes for my wheels, I went over to the CNC and I made these really cool tires. These are made out of walnut, and then I made some hubcaps that are made out of oak, which is the same as the frame here. So I have tires, I have hubcaps, and then I have the dowel, which is my axle. So how this works is, I put one part of the dowel into my hubcap, that goes through the tire, and then that goes into the car. I have a video on different ways you can make circles, or you can use the CNC, or if you want to, you can just buy these tires. You can buy them online. I will try to find a link, and if I do find one, I'll put it in the description. You could also buy these little pegs here that are specifically made for this, and you can see they actually fit in my tires too, and they fit right onto the car, and those look pretty nice also, don't they? Now that I know my tires fit, I'm gonna go ahead and glue up the frame and then the trim piece on here. And while that is drying, I'm gonna work on the interior because we can't have a car if we don't have seats. I should have put glue on the block and not on the frame because now there's a glue on the outside. Oops-a-doodle. While the glue is drying, I cut a couple different circles out using the laser, and these are gonna be the steering wheel. Well, I only need one steering wheel, but I wasn't sure what size, so I just cut out a couple different sizes, and we'll see which one I end up using. And I still need the seats, and I need the roof. So this is great for using those scraps. So I have the scrap pieces that I had left over from cutting out the main body of it. So what I did was I created a couple different templates. I created a pattern for the profile of the roof and for the seats. So I can glue these onto my workpiece here, go to the saw, cut those out, start assembling this. Also, what was really cool is I found this little scrap piece here that was the underside of the dash. So I can cut that off and sand it nice and flush, and that's gonna give me something for my steering wheel to glue onto. So that's nice. The interior is done, the roof is glued in place, and I think it looks really good. And now that the glue is dry, or at least dry enough, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing the sanding, the sculpting, soften the edges, make it kind of all blend together. So I'm going to grab the headphones, find something good to listen to, and zone out. After a significant amount of sanding, it feels soft, nice flowing lines. It is starting to resemble the Mustang look. Now there's only really one major thing to do, which is it needs that trim, that classic Mustang molding and the trim pieces that go on the side. So I think I'm gonna get some thin boards, go over to the scroll saw, cut those out, we'll attach them, and we'll wrap this thing up. Check it out, we have us a fancy wooden car. This project ended up being a whole lot of fun, and hopefully this video gives you some ideas for you to get in your shop and make your own version of a car or a truck. As we march to the holidays, I'm really excited about some upcoming projects, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on those videos. And until we meet again, get in your shop and build something awesome.